Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. I don't fucking take smoke, I'ma poke a hole through you, choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back.
Welcome to ArchRivals Football. Here is your starting lineup. Number 20, Darnell the Playmaker Sallins. Number 94, Alex the Bearman Kazzaz. Number 24, Ricky Litwinkowicz. This show is sponsored by Raz Energy, DreamControllers.com, and Steiner Sports. ArchRivals Football is a Pain Train Pipe Bomb production.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is a special show for ArchRivals on a Monday because we have some changes going on with my schedule. But for those who don't know me, I am Darnell the Playmaker Sallins. I will be hosting the college football section of ArchRivals today. And along with me is my partner in crime, Bearman of Texas, Alex. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, how you doing, Playmaker? I'm ready to talk some college football, son.
Hey, we are 4 weeks into the college football season. Like Michael Irvin said on First Take, we have information now. We have some good information now. And with that being said, let's start off with some news and notes and takeaways from week 4. I'll let you go first. Your takeaways from week 4 of college football.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know, and this is what I love about college football, Playmaker. The surprising and yet some shocking results. And speaking of a couple of shocking results, well, 62-0 for the University of Georgia against Vanderbilt University. And we'll get to that. Baylor beating Iowa State. Arkansas beating Texas A&M. Do I need to go on? And, you know, of course, we can't ignore Notre Dame and Wisconsin. In that game, Darnell, it is a game that it just cannot be ignored. It has to be covered.
Yeah, we're going to cover that. Shout out to Michelle for joining the chat. Steve Wallman, what's going on? Lynn's in the chat. Lynn, Ricky doesn't do college football. It's just me and Bearman. So That's where that is. But he's in the background producing the show, so he's back there. Yeah, hey, he can see the comments as well. So, but let me tell y'all, the Notre Dame Wisconsin game. Don't let the final score fool you. That game was close into the fourth quarter, and then Notre Dame pulled away.
Oh,
way
boy.
they did.
31 points, Darnell. They outscored Wisconsin 31-3 in the fourth quarter. And this game was at Soldier Field. I believe the game was supposed to take place last year at Lambeau, but of course the Worldwide Bastard had to ruin it. But you know what? We finally got it, and this is the result we saw. I mean,
I gotta say, I know how to pick them, don't I? I know how to pick the games, don't I?
I mean, you are
like,
you're a certified college football expert as well as being a certified basketball expert, my friend.
I mean, the games that I put on these slates be right on. Now, there is shout out to Baylor because this last week's slate was about the Big 12. Baylor taking down Iowa State, good win. Texas dominating Texas Tech. I gotta give them Texas that. They dominated that game. Oklahoma squeaked by West Virginia. I hope Missy is doing all right because I'm worried about the Sooners. They might get caught one of these weeks the way they've been playing on offense. I'm just saying. SMU took down TCU.
Speaking of Oklahoma, there was actually a story that OU fans were chanting and calling for the backup quarterback. Like, were they wanted Spencer Rattle to be benched?
Oklahoma is known for putting up points. They're not putting up points.
They didn't put up points against West Virginia. As a matter of fact, you know, even though they won, I mean, this game is certainly a cause for concern because in the case of the Big 12, at this point in college football, after 4 weeks, this is where the games get even harder. I mean, there's no more non-conference play. This is now Big 12 play the rest of the way. It's not an easy road from there, folks.
But the Big 12 still has Oklahoma. You have an undefeated Baylor. Iowa State, they fell off, but you still got Texas. Unfortunately, for a different conference, the ACC. Has the ACC chance of making the playoffs went up in smokes last week? Clemson losing to NC State. Georgia Tech knocking off UNC. Does the ACC even have a chance now of making the playoffs?
Probably not. I mean, Clemson, it just has not been a pleasant year for Clemson. That opening loss to Georgia at home, 10-3, and then they have that win against South Carolina State, and then struggle against Georgia Tech, and now they lose to the North Carolina State Wolfpack, not the NWO Wolfpack.
You want to tell you how bad it is for the ACC?
It's embarrassing.
Wake Forest is the lone unbeaten team in that conference. Wake Forest Demon Deacons are the lone unbeaten in the ACC. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is right now.
It's like I said, it's humiliating.
Big 12, they look good. Like I said, they still got Oklahoma, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Texas. Oh, the Big 12 still have a chance. I'm gonna say this right here. I believe, I'm an SEC guy, but I believe the Big 10 is the best conference in college football right now.
It's definitely the most exciting.
Michigan State 4-0, Maryland 4-0, Michigan 4-0, Penn State 4-0, Iowa 4-0. That's about 5 teams that is named that's 4-0 in the Big 10.
And what's interesting is that Ohio State is not one of those who's undefeated.
No, they 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue 3-1. Rutgers 3-1 because they just lost to Michigan in a battle of unbeatens, and that was a good game.
It's just really difficult seeing Wisconsin like this. I mean, there was a time, not long ago, Wisconsin was one of the best teams in college football.
Well, they don't have a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And when you have no quarterback, well, forget about it.
I mean, I say the SEC is second on the list, but you already know. Alabama, best team in the country right now. Right behind them is Georgia. Then you have Arkansas, who's ranked 8th all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Florida's ranked 10.
Speaking of Arkansas,
Ole Miss
there's
is
actually
12.
something interesting about that win, and I'll get to that in a second.
That was a big one over Texas A&M. Ole Miss, they ranked 12, and they unbeaten going into a big game that we're going to get into later on. Auburn, that one loss to Penn State, they are ranked in the top 25. Texas A&M coming off that loss to Arkansas, still ranked in the top 25. I mean, it's a Big Ten and ACC showdown, and then but the Pac-12 would not go away quietly. Oregon, undefeated, ranked 3rd in the country. Oregon State 3-1. Arkansas State 3-1. UCLA 3-1. I'll get to them two later on because they have a big game coming up.
Speaking of the Arkansas and A&M game, Arkansas's 20-10 win over Texas A&M, which by the way took place at AT&T Stadium. They've actually been doing that for almost 10 years now. It was their first win over A&M since 2011. And I was at that game back in 2011 when A&M had that 35-17 lead at halftime and squandered it, losing 42-38.
So right now, the ACC is doomed. Like I said, Wake Forest is the lone unbeaten there. And Wake Forest 4-0, and guess who's 0-4? Florida State.
That's got to make you happy.
I feel bad for Florida State.
Okay, maybe
they can't buy a win. They can't buy a win. It amazes me. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Still a lot of football to be played. The college football power rankings ain't even out yet, so we still got to wait on that. And that should be coming out within the next 4 weeks or so. Can't wait to see those rankings right around the time Florida and Georgia get together.
Like I said, it only gets better. And speaking of rankings, Oklahoma barely beating West Virginia. Oklahoma, I believe, went from number 4, dropping down only 2 spots.
Yep, Oklahoma dropped. The struggles is real. The struggles are costing Oklahoma right now.
And not only that, Texas. I think Texas A&M actually. I'm not sure exactly. They dropped. What were they ranked? They're ranked 15th now. Were they number 7 last week?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, you see, this is what a loss and a hard and when you barely win, and then you lose a game. I mean, it's just how the rankings are just affected. I mean, these rankings in college football, I mean, they take them very seriously. Yeah,
they were 7. They were ranked 7. Arkansas was ranked 16th.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. I want to make sure.
Yeah. Yep. That is that. And Notre Dame, they ranked number 9, but they have another test on their hands because if we can throw up the top 5 group of 5 for week 5.
Oh yes, Cincinnati.
Woo! How about them Bearcats?
In Cincinnati's case, seeing them ranked number 7 is just it's amazing. And in their case, I mean, this is their first challenge of the season.
Okay? It is, but as you can see, no changes. You know why? Everybody did their job.
Yeah.
Everybody did their job. From Cincinnati all the way down to San Diego State, everybody did their job. Shout out to Cincinnati, staying unbeaten. BYU still unbeaten. They just keep beating known teams left and right. They just keep beating known teams left and right, Coastal Carolina, all they do is win, like DJ Khaled. Fresno State had a big win. San Diego State had a nice win. So my top 5 rankings for the group of 5 still stay the same, but that could change because Cincinnati has a big game coming up. As you can see, the slate for this week, and we're gonna take our time on this because this is a big one. We spoke about the Big Ten being the best conference in football, right?
Yes, sir.
2 undefeated teams. Number 5, Iowa, going to Maryland, take on the Terp. Friday night to begin the month of October, we get Big Ten action.
The Big Ten action is fun.
You think Maryland has a chance
against Iowa? Well, the fact that Maryland's playing at home, that already intensifies the pressure, which is incredibly heavy. But no, Iowa. I don't expect Iowa to have any problems. I mean, Maryland is good because, like you said, but at this point, like I said, this is the point of the season now where things change to where we say the fun and games are over. It's now time to be serious, and Iowa's very serious. So Iowa's going to prove a point. So I think they're going to destroy Maryland.
Hey, Maryland got a good win. They defeated West Virginia. That was a good game. Man, like to score points. Problem is,
do.
Iowa don't like giving up points.
Yeah, there you go.
As Iowa State, they don't want to give up points. They refuse to give up points.
They do.
So that's going to be interesting. A battle of strength. Maryland's offense versus Iowa's defense. And then we get to Saturday slate. First game off the board. We talking number 8 versus number 2. The Razorbacks going to Athens, Georgia to take on them Bulldogs.
Oh boy. This is my point again. The fun and games are over, except these are the games that are very interesting, but this is where things are more serious now. Number 8 versus number 2. Arkansas
Vegas
and Georgia.
You see the rankings, but Vegas is not believing in Arkansas. They have a 13% chance of winning this game. 13, and they're ranked 8th in the country.
What would be their reason for them not having any faith in Arkansas?
You seen Arkansas beat up on Texas. You seen Arkansas beat Texas A&M, and they looked at it like, "Oh no, y'all playing Georgia," and is at Georgia. Nah, we're not buying yet. They're not buying. They're not buying Arkansas Razorbacks. I don't kind of blame them because Georgia do got a hell of a defense.
Georgia's a pretty loaded team. I mean, they are tough.
I know you mentioned they beat Vanderbilt 62-0, but it's Vanderbilt. I mean, is anything good in Vanderbilt?
Not really. Well, here's something interesting. It's actually that was Georgia's second largest SEC win. And back in 1942, Georgia beat the Florida Gators 75-0.
Good thing I wasn't born around that time.
Yeah. Oh shit.
But Mr. Bearman.
Yes, sir.
I believe that second game that's at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the second is a very interesting one for you.
We talk about Texas versus TCU.
Texas Longhorns at the Horned Frogs. Texas coming off beating up on Texas Tech, and TCU coming off a loss against SMU. The battle for Texas continues.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately for TCU, it's the second year in a row that they've lost to SMU because from 2012 to 2018, TCU dominated that rivalry.
Hell of a game, by the way. Hell of a game, though.
Yeah, and TCU. I mean, all that hype, coming into the season. Maybe they're just not as good as we thought, or maybe it's a bad year. I mean, I don't know. But this TCU and Texas rivalry is interesting because I'm looking at my notes, and since 2014, TCU has dominated. And right now, I can't say for sure that Texas looks as the better team because this rivalry, anything could happen. But this rivalry being in Fort Worth, it's going to be really tough. I mean, Texas hasn't beaten TCU in Fort Worth since 2013. So this game's interesting. Very early game.
It's a big one in the Big 12, that's for sure.
I mean, Texas has to be probably I'm pretty sure if I saw Texas is probably the favorite, obviously. Texas just beat up on Texas Tech, beating Texas Tech for the 4th year in a row. So
now, as you see a graphic, there was a mistake on the graphic. That should be 9th ranked Notre Dame hosting 7th ranked Cincinnati. Big matter of fact, this is the game of the week. This is I know most people gonna look at that 3:30 game right below it and want to run about it again because that is Lane Kiffin versus Nick Saban. But game of the week, Cincinnati at Notre Dame. You have a group of 5 team from the American Conference traveling to South Bend to take on an independent team who is widely known for success through the years of college football. This is going to be an interesting one. Can Cincinnati take down a giant in Notre Dame? And can Notre Dame avoid the one loss that they need to avoid? And that's Cincinnati.
This is a game that's going to speak for itself, Playmaker. It's a game that really I can't make a straight prediction because anything can happen. In college football, Darnell, in these scenarios, when it's a game that anything could go either way, it's hard to make a straight prediction because you can't back it up. I mean, in Cincinnati's case, if they do beat Notre Dame, Cincinnati proves that they are for real. And if Notre Dame loses, that probably shows maybe Notre Dame isn't as tough as we think they are.
If you're a Power 5 conference, are you a Power 5 team? Are you rooting for Notre Dame in this one?
I'm not
because nobody wants to see Cincinnati or a group of 5 team in the mix for a playoff berth.
in my case, in these particular games, same thing with Arkansas and Georgia. I'm not rooting for anybody in particular. All I want in terms of journalism is a good game, because a good game like that, in these very hyped up games, it creates a story. It gives us talking points. So at the end of the day, that's why all I want is a hell of a game, so we can talk about it like we are doing now. Know what I'm saying?
All right. 3:30, the CBS game of the week. Number 12, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin at the helm, taking on that number one team in all the land, the reigning defending champs. Alabama head by you-know-who, Nick Saban. Kiffin gets his first shot at Saban.
Well, Alabama and Ole Miss. Well, there's something very classic. First meeting between these two schools, October 27th, 1894. And last time these two met, which was last year, October 10th, Alabama scored 63 points on Ole Miss. And looking at these overall results,
that was at Ole Miss, by the way.
It was at Ole Miss. So Ole Miss is pretty pissed off about it. And back in 2015, Ole Miss actually beat Alabama 43-37. Ole Miss was ranked number 15, Alabama number 2. So it was one of those hyped up games.
I want to see what Lane Kiffin's offensive game plan is going to be against the Tides defense. That's all I want to see.
I mean, the fact that he's taking on Nick Saban, as you mentioned, for the first time, I mean, well, Nick Saban's a tough coach to beat.
Former coordinators for Nick Saban haven't failed too well against Bama. Can Lane Kiffin be that oddball that finds success against his former mentor?
Well, it all remains to be seen.
Sticking with the ACC, my Gators coming off a nice win over rival Tennessee. Some people don't see it as a rival, but it's a rival because
it's a rival. It's
a rivalry, but you still see us dominating Tennessee.
It's a rivalry that started in 1916. I mean, if these schools have history dating back, at least a century, that's a rivalry.
We go from one rivalry at home to a rivalry on the road. We're taking on undefeated Kentucky. 6 p.m. ESPN. First road test for my Gators. We shall see how we look on the road. Emory Jones has been playing better since the Alabama game. He looked good in Alabama. He played good against Tennessee. Now we have to take that and we have to go to the road against Kentucky. Another team that we usually dominate, but they looking for a big win. Because a couple of games during this stretch, they blown it. I would say we haven't won it. They just blown it, and we took advantage of it.
It's really interesting. Both, Kentucky undefeated. Same thing with Florida, but Kentucky's not even ranked. I'm sorry. Florida had that sole loss, but and Florida comes in at number 10. While Kentucky, the undefeated team, is not ranked, but
competition matters.
Competition matters, yeah. But I have to go with your Gators. I think your Gators take care of business, but I wouldn't count out Kentucky. And by that I mean, don't expect Kentucky to just let the Gators roll on their turf and just let them humiliate them just like that.
We're gonna see if March 2 can finally get another one of the Gators. They got one in Florida a couple of years ago. I remember that game. But can he win one at home? Because he hasn't won one over Florida at home in who knows how long.
Well, if he does, then like that. But Florida being as tough as they are right now, I mean, I can't see Florida losing this game. I really can't.
Going back to the Big 12, Bear man, your country,
my country.
Number 21, Baylor, undefeated. At number 19, Oklahoma State, also undefeated. 7 p.m. ESPN 2. Battle of unbeaten in the Big 12. We know how these goes.
Oh man, another one. It could be a blowout from one end, it could be a blowout from the other end, or it could be a game that's just low score, just hard fought defense. But I really see this game kind of being a bit of a shootout, but at the same time, it's going to be an effort. And of course, because it's going to be in what's the name of the city? It's Stillwater, Oklahoma. I almost said Norman. No, that's where OU is. Stillwater, and obviously the Oklahoma State Cowboys are favored by 4, but I feel like this game it's going to be decided in the fourth quarter.
I want to know what the over under is because I want to know if people should take the under or over because What Baylor's one besides West Virginia? Baylor's the only team that I know that actually plays defense in the Big 12.
I mean, Oklahoma State this season hasn't had much of a challenge. They beat Missouri State 23-16, and they've had these close wins against Missouri State, Tulsa, and Boise State. They beat Boise State by 1 point, and they beat Kansas State last week by 11 points. Basically, Oklahoma State hasn't been challenged, and they've had these playing these lower teams and barely surviving. Baylor, on the other hand, Baylor just beat Iowa State, so Baylor's coming in with some hype and some motivation.
We're talking about a rank. We're talking about a ranked Iowa State that was ranked 14th at the time.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, and that's something you're not just handed to you. You have to earn that win, and Baylor did earn that win. So that's why I think Baylor is perfectly capable of pulling off the upset. But like I said, we just have to wait and see, because this is another one of those games. It could go either way.
The final game on the slate, Pac-12 country, going out west. Arizona State, Herm Edwards are at 13th ranked. UCLA, led by Chip Kelly. Pasadena, California. Oof. Hey, I mean, we talking about two teams, 3-1, battle for the South for the Pac-12.
Thank you.
Bearman. So, by the way, we just got word that it's Baylor -4, so Baylor's the favorite over Oklahoma State, which is quite interesting because the home team is, from what I heard, home team gets 3 points at home because they home.
Yeah, exactly.
But Pac-12 South, Arizona State, UCLA, Herm Edwards, Chip Kelly.
Well, Arizona State's actually on top of the Pac-12 South.
And who's right behind them?
UCLA.
Both of them 3-1. I think both of them lose to BYU.
Well, in UCLA's case, on September 18th, they lost to Fresno State at home.
Fresno State at home. So both of these have group of 5 teams that's on my list that beat them. You know what? I want to see which team can bounce back. Now, UCLA is a 4-point favorite. What's the over-under in that game? Because I got a feeling there's going to be some points thrown on the board here. 56. I can see the over. 56. I can see it over. Because I can see both teams scoring 28 with no problem.
Oh, for sure.
I can see them scoring 28 with no problem whatsoever.
Because Arizona State this season, in 3 of their games, they've scored at least 35 points in 3 of their games. I mean, the only one they haven't scored that many points is in their 27-17 loss to BYU. So Arizona State, despite that loss, Arizona State is still a worthy opponent for UCLA. Can't deny it.
Like you said, they are the ones on top of the Pac-12, not UCLA, and UCLA's the ranked team.
Yeah, exactly.
Arizona State is on top.
This is the mysterious part right there. It's just funny how the ranked team is not on top, but the unranked team is just right above the ranked team. I think that's why some people say that the rankings in college football are, quote, rigged. I mean, it's arguable, but the rankings really do tell a story, but sometimes these standings tell a different story, and they conflict, and that causes problems.
All this game is really, ladies and gentlemen, who wants to play Oregon?
Ain't nobody.
Who wants to play Oregon? Who wants to play Oregon? Do we see Washington State beating Oregon for the North?
No.
Do we see Cal beating Oregon for the North?
Nope.
Stanford?
Absolutely not.
Washington, who got ran through by Michigan on a primetime game on ABC?
Absolutely not.
And then you have Oregon State, the Civil War. That might be your only team that can knock off Oregon.
Oregon State just beat USC, but USC really isn't good.
Yeah, we found that out thanks to Stanford. They was front runners until Stanford walked in there and got Clay Helton fired for dropping 42 points on them. Might have been 48.
I mean, it was embarrassing fashion. So either way, USC got humiliated. I mean, that was enough for them to decide. All right, well, we got to move in a new direction. So we're going to go ahead and fire you.
So pretty much, Who wants to play Oregon for the Pac-12? That's what this is. Even though we're going into this in October, and we're not going to have a Pac-12 championship until December. But this game is like, who wants to play Oregon more? That's all it is. Ain't nobody stopping Oregon from winning the North. I don't even think none of them going to stop Oregon from winning the Pac-12, period. And that's the Pac-12 only chance right now is Oregon.
I mean, Oregon really, Oregon State can challenge them, and we'll see them in that Civil War. But yeah, I think Oregon is pretty freaking good.
So there you go. I believe we covered everything we need to cover. Is there any other games that you're looking forward to?
Well,
I think that's a pretty damn good slate right there of games to watch.
Well, there's Auburn and LSU, but LSU is not ranked.
Auburn and LSU, we talk about rivalries here.
The Tiger rivalry, that's what I like to call it.
That is the Tiger rivalry. Is it at Death Valley or is it at the Plain?
It's going to be at Death Valley.
It is at Death Valley.
Auburn are the visitors.
What time is that game?
That game is actually at 8 o'clock.
Oh, Lord. Death Valley at night. Let's see if LSU is still LSU. And Bearman, you know this. If they still LSU, we should know what's going to happen at night at Death Valley.
Let me answer it like this, Mr. Playmaker. If LSU is still LSU, Auburn will be walking through the valley of the shadow of death.
Coach Orgeron, I don't know. Because I still believe, even though they got past Georgia State, luckily, the Auburn Tigers, I think they might take out some frustration on the Tigers of LSU. It's just me.
And Auburn is still obviously frustrated because, that loss to Penn State and Auburn really did challenge. So
they should handle that. They should have taken care of that when they played Georgia State. I think Clemson needs that more than LSU right now.
It is just so weird. I mean, it's bad enough, LSU's now gone down to this. Now Clemson. I mean, we're seeing some changes in the powerhouses of college football.
It's funny how both their valleys are not doing what they're supposed to be doing right now.
Exactly. I mean,
go figure. Go figure.
Go figure. The best way to describe the situation, my friend. Go figure.
But that's all we got for you. So get ready, because when October gets here, even though Bearman said the fun of games are over, and I respect him for that, but the fun is just beginning, because we gonna see who are the real contenders and who are the pretenders from this point forward.
Well, the fun starts for us. I'm talking about for those teams. The fun and games are over. It's now time to be serious.
So who is the best of the best? Because we're in October. It's conference play now. And we know when it comes to conference play, you're going to get some upsets. We already got upsets, but we're going to get some more upsets. There's going to be a team that's going to walk into a stadium, and they're going to look at the other team and say, you know what? We're going to beat y'all, and we're going to mess everything y'all got.
One loss, and your trip to the main event, Final Four, kiss it goodbye, my friend.
Ask Clemson.
Ask Clemson, yes.
So with that being said, for this edition of College Football Talk for ArchRivals Football, that's the Bearman of Texas. I am Darnell the Playmaker Sallins. Y'all will catch them. We'll catch Bearman and Ricky tomorrow when they cover the NFL.
That's right.
I will be back next week to do some more college football, and we'll see if I can squeeze in some NFL talking here somewhat. If not, catch me Thursday for Ramley Talk. And trust me, I will be recapping what the Rams did to the defending Super Bowl champions. Gracious. But that was test number 1. Test number 2 is up next. So, with that being said, Bearman, Playmaker, Ricky in the background producing for ArchRivals. We out of here. Deuces.
Peace out.
Hey, did you like that show? Like, share, follow, subscribe. Share out our shows to all of your social media. Need merchandise? Check out paintrainpipebomb.threadless.com for quality merchandise at great prices. Tune in next time for another edition of ArchRivals Football, and we'll catch you on the flip side.